All right, well, hello and welcome. My name's Lisa Hanselman. I'm the director of the Mountaineer Parents Club here at West Virginia University, and we are so happy to have all of you joining us tonight for another great Mountaineer Parents Club webinar. So before we get started too much here, just a couple of things. First, we do have tech support, and if you need something, please put that in the chat. We will also be recording this evening, so if you miss a couple of things as we're talking, you'll be able to see that later. We'd love to see your faces, but we totally understand if you don't want to be on camera either, but we do love to see who we're talking to here. So we will go ahead and we have our presentation this evening, and then after our amazing presenter is done, we will go ahead and take questions in the chat. And if you can wait just a little to put it in, that'd be great. So I would hate to miss anything, but here we go. We'll get started. Eric?
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric O'Hara, and I serve as the Associate Director for Housing Services, and I'm really happy to be with you today. And we're going to talk about all things housing, but more specifically applying for housing. I realize that some of you may have already gone through this process, some of you are getting ready to go through this process, and some of you are thinking about getting started soon. So the first thing that we would always suggest, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is doing your research and finding out where you want to be, what amenities you're looking for, what neighborhoods you're looking for, because there are so many different housing options. So the first thing I wanted to talk about were our three distinct neighborhoods. We have the downtown neighborhood, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's in the downtown campus, and it's next to the mountain layer or the student union. But we also have our Sunnyside campus, or Sunnyside neighborhood, I should say, which is on the other side of the downtown campus. And it's more downtown adjacent, but it's just beyond the life sciences building. So it's also very, very popular with students. And then we have our Evansdale neighborhood. And our Evansdale neighborhood has a lot of amenities such as the hub, the student crossings, the student rec center, shopping, the rec fields, and a lot of different amenities. Now, people get really stressed out about what should I choose? Which neighborhood should I be in? And to be honest with you, you're probably going to use the amenities in all these neighborhoods. So no matter where you end up choosing or what you end up choosing, you're going to be in a good place and you're going to have access to get to those other neighborhoods. So I'll skip down to the transportation at the bottom there. No matter where you live, you're going to be close to a Mountain Line bus stop, which goes all throughout campus, as well as all throughout Morgantown, which is free to students, as well as the Personal Rapid Transit System, the PRT, which goes across campus as well. So you're most likely going to have classes on both sides of campus, and you're going to be using the various amenities throughout the different neighborhoods. So also wanted to skip back there and talk about amenities, because that's a really, really important question that people talk about. And different amenities are important to different people for a variety of reasons. But the one that comes up the most, bathrooms. So we have three different options. One is the more traditional option. So it's a community style restroom, which has its advantages. You're not competing with other people because it's a large community bathroom that's cleaned every day and it's always available. But then there's also the ensuite bathroom, suite style restroom, which in most cases are two double rooms connected by a bathroom. So it's ensuite, but you're sharing it with your roommate and your suite mates in the adjoining room. And it's cleaned about every 3 weeks. And then we have something that's very unique to Oakland Hall, which is called a pod or a spa style bathroom. And it's something in between. There's a community area on each floor, and then there are lockable pods within that community bathroom area where the toilet and shower are located. So it provides more privacy than a typical community restroom would. And then also wanted to talk a little bit about living learning communities. We want you to explore all those different options. We have so many different and great living learning communities. Some are major based, like engineering and forensics and business and economics. Some are more thematic, like wellness or a global community. Also have the honors living learning community and ROTC. And we want you to go to our website and check out all those different living learning communities and the options available. So I've talked a little bit about this, but we want you to do your research. We want you to go on our website because I can talk for hours about each individual residence hall and bore you to death. But all this information is available on our website at housing.wvu.edu. So you can go to the individual hall page and look at the various amenities, photos. We're still adding additional photos and videos. You can look at room dimensions, furniture dimensions, and get a better feel for the space. You can look at living learning communities and read a description for each one and where they're located and what amenities are offered and services that are offered within those living learning communities. You can look for room rates. There's so much information there that when I go to the website, cheat. I go to the top right-hand corner in the toolbar and just type in the search that I'm looking for related to housing, and it's normally going to guide me to where I want to go. And if I can't find it, you can always call the housing office. Timeline is a very important question. Our process spans several months, which is fairly unique to WVU. So our portal opens around October 1. This year it opened October 3 because that was the Monday. And students can, from the day it opens, navigate right to the self-selection page and choose their spot in real time. Now that process will close next week on February 28th. So we're going to have about half our students that are going to navigate the self-selection process, and then half that are going to go through the manual assignments process. Don't worry if you miss that deadline. You're still going to be able to put in your preferences for both the building, room type, as well as living learning preferences. And we're going to do our best to put you in the space that you want to be in. And we're also managing our room change or our wait list all the way through the end of June. So if you don't get where you were hoping to get, or you have a roommate that you want to be with, or you've changed your mind about something, you can always put yourself on that room change list. It may not be something that happens within 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, but over a matter of months, as one person moves, the assignments team does an amazing job by processing this move over here and then moving this person over there to make sure that we can accommodate as many of those changes as possible. So changing room assignments, you can do that right now there's a room change step. So after you pick a space, you can still go in and change 100 times if you wanted to. And if you can't find what you're looking for, that's where you're going to put in the room change or submit a room change request. And then after self-selection, once you apply, it's going to take a few business days for the assignments team to process your assignment. But after they do that, then you're going to see an option to put yourself on the room change list on the application status page. You got to have a room assignment before you can get on the wait list. So when you're navigating the portal, few important things. One is go to the very end, make sure that you navigate and follow each step in the process. It's very transparent. It's very easy to navigate. You just need to click continue as you go along. One thing that I wanted to point out, though, is utilize the roommate profiles. Make sure that you create a profile. You'll answer a series of questions about your habits, and then that will help you explore other roommates, but also the narrative. You can write a little bit about yourself or write a small narrative about yourself and include social media accounts if you want to and you're comfortable doing so. And then when you're in the portal, during self-selection, you can look at available spaces and see anybody that's assigned to that room already and any suite mates that may be assigned as well. But even after self-selection ends, you're still going to utilize those profiles. You'll still be able to read about your roommates, your suite mates, send messages to them within the portal. So it's very important to complete the profile as well as the preferences. Searching for space is exactly like I just said. You're going to go in during the self-selection process and you're going to be able to see exactly what's available. One tip I would give you is focus on the building. You can choose room type and other things, but if you want to see all available options, go in and click the specific building that you're interested in or buildings that you're interested in, and you can see all available vacancies there. And then that's where you're going to see you have the vacancy. You click on show more room info. And then that's where you're going to view roommate profiles and suite mate profiles. You're not going to be able to just to do a large roommate search for students that already have roommates. But if you have somebody in mind, that's when you would use that room change request form. So already mentioned the room change list must have an assignment. And one important thing is for us to honor that request, and we will do our best all the way through the end of June to get you exactly where you want to be. But we suggest limiting the conditions as much as possible because it's going to maximize your opportunities. So if you have a specific roommate request, a specific building request, or a room type request, let us know there. But if you say that I want to be on the 3rd floor of Summit Hall in an east facing room, and I want this specific roommate and I want these specific neighbors, it becomes a little bit harder to accommodate that. But if you just want to be in Summit Hall or you have a specific roommate, it's very likely, especially this early in the process, if you're getting on that room change list, that we're going to be able to accommodate that request. Now, I know sometimes this can be overwhelming and you have questions, so don't ever hesitate to call us, send us an email. If you leave us a message or send us an email during the day, you're normally going to get a response within 15 minutes or a half an hour. And if you don't, it's because they probably referred you to somebody else to give you the best answer. Sometimes that's me, sometimes that's another unit, but they're going to make sure that you receive a follow-up and get the answer that you're looking for. Now, I know I just flew through that because the great part of this presentation is the questions and the things that you haven't had answered so far. So what can we do? What questions can we answer for you?
All right, here we go. First question, I'm just gonna, and please start putting questions in the chat. We're happy to answer all of them. So the suite bathroom, specifically Honors Hall, is there also a general bathroom in the hallway or main lobby or somewhere else if needed when the suite bathroom is in use?
Yes, there are in Honors Hall. There is a larger restroom on the main floor near the Honors College offices and near the media room. Not a shower, but a restroom.
Okay, next up, what do you think would be the best spot to look for housing that is near the Reed College of Media?
I would say either of the Sunnyside or downtown neighborhood. So that would include Borman, that would include Dadisman, Summit, Seneca, Honors Hall. But it's very likely that you'll probably also have classes on the Evansdale neighborhood. So if you like a particular hall in the Evansdale neighborhood, I think you're going to be just as happy there and also have all the transportation options that we mentioned before.
So do freshmen live in all the neighborhoods?
They do. And most of our housing are first-time freshmen or first-time transfers. So all of our halls are geared towards the first-time student.
Thank you. So if there's a person in the honor suite that has decided to go to a different college, how soon before they are removed so someone else can take that spot?
As soon as they cancel. So if you have contacts, sometimes your contact is better than ours. So they need to go onto the cancellation system and cancel. That way we can remove the booking and it'll go back on the portal. But that's also a good question for another reason. We know we sometimes have people that say, hey, this roommate's leaving, we want to put somebody else in that space. We can't always do that because other students are on a wait list or it goes live in real time. So somebody else may grab that spot. But even after we go to manual assignments, we may have a wait list for a particular area, so we wouldn't be able to bump somebody else ahead of them. But we'd still want you to put in the room change request so that we can do our best to honor the request.
Okay, next question. My son completed last night, he filled out all the forms. Let's see. My son completed the housing last night, filled out all the questions about himself, and at the end, and it said continue. He hit the continue button, all of his information disappeared, and he couldn't see any available rooms.
Probably need to navigate a few more steps into the process, because if you time out or go back to the beginning, depending on where you were at, you have to navigate to the next steps to get into the room selection page. But if you can't find that, or you're having any problems navigating the portal, just contact us, because we can also impersonate your account while you're in it and see what you're seeing and try to resolve that issue for you.
All right, here's a good one for you, Eric. Do all of the residence halls have air conditioning?
No, that is a good question. Not all of our halls have air conditioning. All but Borman North and Borman South and Dadisman Hall. Those are the only ones that do not have air conditioning. Now, I lived there many, many years ago, and one thing I'll say about air conditioning, for some, that is an absolute must-have. But keep in mind, students get here in August, and September's right around the corner, and it starts to cool down, and then they leave in May. So you only use the air conditioning for a very short period of time while you're living in the residence halls. So if there are other amenities that are more important to you, or in those buildings, such as even location, I wouldn't take that off your list. But yes, all halls with the exception of Borman North and South and Dadisman.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any halls that would stay open during the breaks?
Another great question. So yes, our designated break housing halls are the towers. So the Evansdale Residential Complex, that's also where we have overflow housing. So if somebody does not live in a break housing hall, we normally have a floor or two that we hold for those students so that they can stay during the break period. And Oakland Hall is the other break housing hall that we use, mainly because we have a lot of student athletes in Oakland Hall. So that's normally one of our busiest hall during the break period. So during the Thanksgiving break, during the winter recess, and during spring break.
And that information will be on the website closer to those breaks. Okay, are there laundry facilities in Borman South? And while we're asking, are there laundry facilities in every residence hall?
Yes, there are laundry facilities in every residence hall. In some areas like Towers, it's on each floor. So a couple units on each floor. In a place like Borman that you referenced, there's a central laundry facility located in Borman South that is in G entry, the bottom there where the mail is. And then in Borman North, it's on each floor like Towers is. But it's each residence hall has laundry facilities, but the layout's a little bit different.
So is the admissions deposit fully refundable?
Can't speak to admissions, but I can speak to the housing deposit. So the housing deposit is partially refundable. It's $225, and $125 of that is refundable if you cancel by May 1st.
And the admissions deposit is refundable as long as you let us know by May 1st. Okay, my daughter has her room and found a roommate who also has a room, both in the same residence hall. Does the other girl need to do a room change, even though my daughter's room still has an opening?
Your daughter's room still has an opening, then that student should be able to go onto the portal right now, log on, navigate to the room change step, and if it's available, would be able to select it. After February 28th, so starting March 1st, then all parties would need to submit a room change request form for any type of swap.
Okay, Eric, you and I answer this one a lot. What's the difference between A1 and A2?
A1 and A2 is an internal designation for us to separate the spaces within the room. So ultimately, you're going to want to talk to your roommate to find out what side of the room you want to be in. We don't assign spaces, and the layouts vary. There's one exception, and that's Seneca Hall, that you do have assigned bedrooms within Seneca Hall. But all the other halls, it's an internal designation for us. And you may decide you want to switch it up where your bed is within the room. In some areas, you have a little more freedom to change the layout. In others, it's a little bit more concrete in how it's done, but provide privacy in other ways, such as a divider between the beds.
Okay, I'm going to read this one, but we already answered it. My daughter's living at Honors. Did these rooms have AC?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, does each floor in Oakland have laundry, or where could they be found?
Oakland has a large laundry facility. So it's not on each floor, but one large, really nice laundry area, comfortable space. And I should mention too, with laundry, you're not going to bring a bag of coins. You are going to use your Mountaineer ID card. There are apps that you can use as well to see what washer and dryers are available, and you can activate those machines and get notifications when your laundry's done. So, and they're very easy to use in terms of buttons like colors, whites. So hopefully that make it very easy for a student that may be using them for the first time.
And since you said that, this time now between now and August is a really good time to teach your student more about laundry, separating out their laundry, how those machines work, and all of that. We find that at least a few students learn the hard way. So it's always a good lesson.
Do you know
Okay,
what
how do I?
Sorry, do you know what floor on Oakland the laundry facility is on?
Oh, it's down. I think in Oakland West on the, I have to double check to be honest with you. I can see it in my head, but I can't tell you the exact area. Off the main, the designations for the floors can be confusing when you have a floor, but also kind of a lobby area. But
Okay, that's
Oakland has a
okay.
very nice
Thank you.
laundry one.
Okay, next up, how do I rent the micro fridge?
Go to our website, and then in that top right-hand toolbar, type in optional services or just micro fridge. And it's going to bring you to the link with our partners, our contractors that work through that, and they will help you. There's more information about that, pricing, numbers, if you have any questions about the micro fridge. Micro fridge is a great thing to have because it's big, it's bulky, it's not something you want to transport, so you want it in your room when you get here. It's also something you're probably not going to bring to an apartment later either, so you wouldn't need it in the future. And then you can share the cost with a roommate if applicable as well.
And while we're on that topic, it's the only way that a student can have a microwave in a residence hall. If you want to elaborate a little, Eric.
Yeah, so we do only allow one micro fridge per room, but if you needed an extra refrigerator, you can buy a small mini fridge, and the requirements are listed on our webpage as well. You may want to go to what to bring and what not to bring on our webpage. Gives a very comprehensive list of things. So students don't need two microwaves in a room, but you may, for a variety of reasons, such as medication or just preference, to have another small refrigerator. You can bring a small refrigerator, but you're not allowed to bring your own microwave, unfortunately.
Okay, next up, if you wait until late April after the Decide WVU event, can you still get your choice of housing?
What the assignments team is going to do, say if you apply in April, they're going to look at your preferences, and they're going to do their best. If there's not something in one of your preferences, they're going to look at the price point that you were looking at, the neighborhood that you were looking at, and try to find best match with a roommate based on the questions that you answered and some of the tools that we have in the housing portal. And then you should get that assignment very quickly after, normally within a few days after you apply, and then can get on that room change list, which will still remain open through the end of June. So yes, you still have a lot of options. Remember, there's not just hundreds, there'll be thousands of people that are going to be applying after the self-selection period.
Okay, so if you decide to live with an LLC group, are there rooms on that floor that are held for those particular LLCs?
There are. So for example, if you wanted to be on the engineering floor, you'd have to have an engineering major to be able to see those spaces and be able to select those spaces, or to be manually assigned to those spaces later. There are some others that are thematic, so there isn't a particular profile on your account, such as being in honors, to be able to see the honors spaces in Honors Hall or Lincoln Hall. But those spaces have other, if you express interest in those, sometimes they have an application they have to fill out. And in those cases, we would manually assign you to those spaces, but they're not on the portal and students can't select those.
Okay, so will this session be available for my daughter to see at another time? Yes, and if you scroll up in the chat, there's a couple of links there that'll tell you where you can see this session later, because we are recording it. And if you're having trouble signing up for other sessions, just email us at parentsclub@mail.wvu.edu and we'll walk you through that. Okay, Eric, next up, how does someone qualify for honors residence halls?
The simple answer is they have to be admitted to the Honors College. So you have to apply to be a member of the Honors College, and then they have their processes for admissions. So I don't want to give too many details about what the criteria is. I would refer you to the Honors College for that. But then if you're admitted, then a profile is going to go on your account after you get that notification, that letter, which would allow you to see those spaces in the Honors Hall. Or if you want to change, you get admitted later and you're in another residence hall right now, submit that room change request. If you have that profile on your account, we'll try to get you an Honors or Lincoln Hall.
Okay, do you have to pay a fee prior to selecting a room?
It's the housing deposit that you would have to pay before you can navigate to the self-selection page or be assigned manually. So you'll sign the terms and conditions, the housing contract, pay the housing deposit, and that's what's going to allow you to be able to select or be placed into a room.
Is there a published list of things to pack?
There is the things to bring and things not to bring. So that list is on our website.
And I believe Ricky dropped that in the chat too, so you'll be able to find that there. Okay. When looking at rooms today, there wasn't much left in Summit Hall. Is that accurate?
That would be accurate. There are limited spaces, and there's also what I dub it the male slacker effect. They are slower than their female counterparts in terms of applying. So there may be spaces in a particular living learning community, for example, Climb or the business living learning community or forensics in Summit. There may be male spaces left in Summit, but not female spaces, but it's still really early. So if you get on that room change list, I'm confident if there aren't other conditions listed in that request that we'll be able to accommodate your request.
So I started the housing process 2 weeks ago, and all of my daughter's first options are already taken. This seems early, although we do open in October. I completed the change request form for both of them. Is there anything else I can do?
Not at this time, but if you did it a while ago, you're high up on that list right now. And to be honest with you, we're really not managing that wait list until we get through self-selection. So that process isn't going to start and ramp up until March. So I think you're in good shape, especially if you've already done everything you needed to do and got on the wait list.
How far of a walk would you say it is from Oakland to engineering?
Oakland to engineering, it's going to be just a couple more blocks than Towers. But even Towers, you could be on one side of the complex, the other. Towers is like a mini city. So I would almost have to get out the Google Maps and change it to the walking distance. But you're only adding from Towers, from Brook Tower that's closest to Oakland, you're only adding a few minutes. And most of that is just waiting for the crosswalk to cross the street because it is directly across the street from the Towers.
And
So
WVU is a walking campus, so that's how most kids are going to get around. Okay, where's the dining hall if you live in Lincoln?
The closest dining hall to Lincoln is Towers, which is also even closer than Oakland, but Oakland is just a block over. Now, when you say dining hall, that would be the closest that you would use frequently, but we would encourage you to use all the dining halls. So if you're on the downtown campus for class, then use Hatfields, but the closest dining hall and also the largest dining hall is in Towers, the Evansdale Residential Complex. And so everybody living in that complex, Lincoln, which is right next to it, and Oakland, which is just another block away, is close to the Evansdale Residential Dining Compound, or next to the ERC Dining Cafe. The Evansdale Cafe. I'll get this right.
Okay, if you are an exercise science major, what would be the best neighborhood or hall?
The closest, if that's what's important to you, would probably be the Evansdale Residential Complex, so Towers. Because it's right across from the rec fields and where the college is located. So, but like I said before, you're going to have transportation options no matter where you're at. So I always feel as if students and family members get stressed out about being in one particular building that corresponds with their major. And for most students, especially first-time freshmen, you're going to have classes all over the place. So don't let that make you feel as if you're missing out on something if you're not in the right building for your particular major. The only exception to that would be living learning communities. So if you're in engineering, I would obviously recommend that you be in the engineering living learning community.
Okay. I understand that some dorms allow dogs. Which ones and what are the limitations?
So none of our residence halls allow pets, but what you may be thinking of is we do have some students with service animals, and we also have some students with emotional support animals. And the students with emotional support animals have registered with the Office of Accessibility Services and been given that accommodation. And there are certain things in place, not just to be eligible for it, but also expectations that a student has to abide by if they do have an emotional support animal on campus. But if you have more questions about that and there is an accommodation that you're seeking, we would encourage you to register with the Office of Accessibility Services.
Which housing is closest to forensic science?
That depends too. So where your classes, so if you're in forensic science, you're going to have classes, chemistry, for example, with math. So that may be on the downtown campus. The crime scene houses are right next to Lincoln and Towers. So that's a tough question to answer. So it depends on which class and where you're going to be most.
So let's talk about commuter students who are going to be staying at their own homes in Morgantown. Do they need to pay the deposit or do anything with the housing portal?
No, good question. So if you are a commuter, meaning you are living at your permanent address with your guardian, and it's in one of the contiguous counties, one of our bordering counties, then you need to log on to the application. But one of the very first steps after you put in your personal details, it asks you if you're seeking exemption. If you live within one of those counties, that's a zip code associated with your permanent address, you're going to automatically be approved. If not, you can also seek an exemption on that page. It'll prompt you to do that if you're seeking an exemption from the first year live-on requirement. But you will not have to navigate for that if you're a commuter and are automatically approved. You would not have to navigate to the deposit step.
What are the transportation options between campuses after the PRT stops for the night or is unavailable?
The Mountain Line bus service. You could also pay for Ubers, but I would go on to, if Ricky could throw in the Mountain Line website, there are routes that run into the wee hours of the morning and are free to students. So there's great transportation options within Morgantown.
Yep, the Mountain Line bus does run back and forth until 3 a.m. between campuses. Okay, do you have any issues with, with bugs in the residence halls?
No, we're very lucky. We do not experience many pest problems, but if you did have any concerns, and occasionally things do happen, but the great thing about being on a campus like WVU is we have so many resources. So we have a pest control team. So the student can fill out a work order, go to the main desk, report the issue if they wanted to, and we're going to make sure that our pest control team is dispatched to assess the situation and take any corrective action if necessary. Same thing with our environmental health and safety team. If there were any concerns about air quality, whatever it might be, we have a team that's trained, ready, and will do an assessment, conduct an assessment of a space, and then share those results with a student, and also work with our facilities management team to correct any issues that may occur.
And encourage your students to not keep food in their room. Okay, let's see. Next question. What type of small appliances are students permitted to bring?
I would encourage you to go on to our things to bring and not to bring. It's a fairly comprehensive list. I mean, we ask that you don't bring things with a heated element, for example, or other fire safety type concerns in rooms that are not equipped for such. There are some exceptions. For example, Seneca has a full kitchen and is equipped for kitchen type items, but we don't want you to bring a crock pot, or we don't want you to bring a toaster oven or things like that that could potentially be dangerous in a community environment. But a full list of things to bring and things not to bring are available on our website.
And it's in the chat. Okay, so what are the chances Seneca Hall will have openings? Because it's full right now.
Seneca goes fairly quickly. And to put it in perspective, we have over 5,200 beds, and Seneca's less than 500 of those. It is still very early. So if a student, if you haven't already applied, if you do that soon and get on the room change list, or if you haven't gotten on the room change list and you already have an assignment, do that now. The assignments team did an amazing job accommodating a large majority of those requests, especially if they're a reasonable request. And if it's just Seneca without a particular roommate or other conditions, if you do that soon, it may not happen in March, it may not happen in April, but in May or June, there's still a very good chance that you could get into Seneca. The other thing, if you really, really want it to, or I should say, if you get into a space and you're not feeling it, nobody wants to move twice, but that's another benefit to living in the residence halls, is that you have all the amenities available to you, all the support available to you, but also the ability to explore other options if it's not working out. So we'll open up room changes a week or two into the semester and keep those open until we start assigning for spring. But then when we get back in January, we'll do the same thing. So you can always explore other options within your hall, other residence hall options, other neighborhood options, and even get a chance to meet potential roommates. So you're never quite locked in if you're not feeling well in the space that you're in.
So for Seneca, with its interesting and different layout, are there RAs on each floor?
There are. Mm-hmm. And we have Seneca, we have resident assistants in all of our residence halls. They're a fairly good ratio, student to RA ratio as well, compared to other institutions. So if you're living in a residence hall, you're going to have resident assistants, and you're going to have residence hall support with your residence life specialists and other residence life staff members.
Are there specific floors in Summit co-ed, only male, only female? How does that?
In Summit, it's co-ed, but in other halls such as towers, it can vary. So some floors could be single gender, some could be co-ed, and that varies across them with your living learning communities as well. And we even hold some floors that are swing floors that we can change based on the types of applications we're receiving later in the process to accommodate everybody, because we will guarantee housing for all first-time freshmen.
So what are the popular housing options?
Any of those listed on our website. So yeah, I know that's the cheap answer. Popular is a lot to do with personal preference. Some people have certain neighborhoods that they want to be in, so they want to be downtown. Some people have amenities they want. They have to have air conditioning, which would rule out Borman, but Borman is the most center of campus that you can be in terms of the downtown campus. So bathrooms are important to people. Other amenities being close to the rec center, for example. So there are lots of, there's no best residence hall. There's some halls that are more traditional and older, but then they may have different layouts that appeal to students, or rooms may be a little bit larger. So there's no real best hall. No matter where you're at, you're going to be happy. And if you're not, we can find a space that you'll be happy in.
I agree. And at the Parents Club, we are always quick to say that you really need to help your student choose housing that is based on what they really want to do outside of class. It's great to live near where your classes are, but you're out of class more than in. So that's why we keep touting, look at those amenities and see what they are. Okay, Eric, how many dining halls are there and where are they?
Ooh, you're gonna ask me a dining question. So we do have the Evansdale Cafe that we talked about before. We have Hatfields on the downtown campus, but then depending on what dining plan that you're selecting, you have a lot of different dining options with the retail locations, with your dining dollars that you're able to use in certain locations. So I definitely go on the dining services website and take a look at all those options. I would also suggest you mix it up. So students that often complain, well, I'm getting the same thing every day. It's because they're going to the same place every day. So you're going to be across campus. I keep failing to mention Summit also in the Sunnyside neighborhood has a dining hall as well. But if you're downtown, go to Sunnyside, go to Hatfields. And then if you're going back to Evansdale, try that out, mix it up, look at the menus, go online, see what they're offering. I love the new taco bar that they have at Cafe at Evansdale. So there's always great options if you seek them out, and also the retail options as well, using Mountain Bounty, using your dining dollars.
So my daughter's living in Honors Hall. What are the benefits of being in Honors over the other residence halls?
So I'd say the biggest benefit is if you're in Honors Hall, you're where the Honors College is located, on all the Honors College programming that's specifically designed for our Honors College students. It's a very popular residence hall. It's a smaller community, so you're going to be surrounded by other students that have been admitted into the Honors College. So, but I'd just say the support that you're going to get from the staff with our Honors College, the programming associated with that, and then the amenities. Lincoln on the Evansdale campus that serves our Honors College students has very similar amenities to Honors Hall in terms of suite style, lounges, layout, etc.
Okay, so where are the healthiest food options located?
That's where I would go onto the website and check out options, because healthy means different things to different people, and people have different dietary restrictions. So there are simple servings, for example, that are going to protect you from any type of allergens. And it's what you make it too. You can go into Cafe Evansdale, I keep talking about that, and you can choose all the unhealthy options in that area, but you can also choose all the healthy options there too. And the other amenity I should reference too, if you're not finding what you're looking for, talk to a dining hall staff member. We also have a dietitian on staff. So if you want to make an appointment with that dietitian because you're not finding what you're looking for, or you're having any issues, and you're trying to find the best fit for you, make an appointment with that dietitian as well.
And I'll say that every residence hall has a salad bar. They offer soups. You can have a sandwich. There's some great pizza, cereal, fried foods, all of that. But there are healthy options in all three dining halls for all three meals. Oh, Eric, here's one. Which residence halls have the largest rooms?
Ooh. That's a tough one, and it can vary. I'll give you an example. Borman has some very large rooms, but Borman isn't standard like, say, Oakland Hall. Or if you go on our dimensions page, you're going to look at Oakland, Lincoln, and Honors, and every room is going to be exactly the same with the same layout. And then you're going to go to Borman, and it's all over the place. But those halls too have a great layout in terms of how it's set up and kind of a divider in between. But if you're looking for some of the biggest rooms, I would probably say Towers, as well as Borman, maybe Dadisman, in terms of those bigger kind of open spaces that you can play with too and be creative with. But if you want to go through all the dimensions, I think the only hall we don't have specific dimensions listed for is Seneca. And that's unique to a small common area and then individual bedrooms. But you can go through and go to each residence hall page and go to floor plans, and that's where you're going to find all the dimensions.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions. We're going to put them all together into one. How far are residence halls from the rec center? So specifically, the downtown residence halls from the rec center.
You're going to have to take the PRT or utilize the bus to get over to the rec center. Or you're going to be able to use the new rec facility located in Reynolds Hall. So yeah, and that's an exciting new opportunity. You're going to be able to utilize either one. And you're also, in some halls downtown, we have fitness facilities within the residence hall. There's a small one in Borman, small one in Stoniker, and a small one in Summit. And it's all about finding your fit, what equipment you're looking for, what experience you're looking for. Obviously, the Student Recreation Center is amazing, so you can get to that one. And I have not had the privilege of seeing the new one, but I've heard wonderful things about the one that's located in Reynolds Hall on the downtown campus.
The last question here is there additional fee? And there is not. The rec center is free to students as long as they have their ID on them. Okay, so how much is it to ride the PRT, and our bus is free?
Both are free to students.
Have to have your ID.
Yes, you have to have your ID for everything. So that's another great point. Make sure that however you carry it, your wallet, a lanyard, but our halls, all of them have some form of card access, in some cases even to get into your room, in many cases to get into your room. But to ride the elevator, to get into the building after hours, you're going to need that ID card. So you're going to use it for everything to eat, get into the dining hall, swipe, doors open, walk in.
And that's another good point, to figure out what is best for your student to carry that ID around, whether it's in their pocket, in a purse, in a lanyard, something like that, because it is the most important thing that they'll have on campus. Okay, we're still waiting on some other decisions, and then we'll do campus visits over spring break in April. Likely won't commit until late April. What will the housing situation look like at that time? This seems early.
We'll still have options available. I wouldn't let that stress you out. And as we talked about, all options are good options, but we know certain students have certain preferences. So you're still going to be able, that we'd still have enough time to get the assignment, get on a room change list. And even if we're not able to accommodate that, and it's not where you want to be into the semester, if you're not happy in that community, I bet you will be. But if you're not, we'll be able to explore options after that time. But you're not alone. It's not 10 people that are going to be applying after that time. It's going to be 2,000 people that are still applying after that time.
Is Lincoln Hall near the new marching band practice site?
Lincoln Hall is relatively close to that site, closer than downtown. But you would still have to walk to it or get transportation. A lot of times the band is a very tight-knit community too, so they're working out carpooling and other ways to get over there. But yeah, if you want to be closer to that area, you want to be on the Evansdale campus.
So here's a good one for you, Eric. Is it possible to change rooms or residence halls if needed between semesters?
Not between semesters, but during the semester. So you have to be on campus so you can actually get the keys and move your stuff over to be into the new assignment. But between semesters, when you come back, that's when we're probably about a week into the semester, we'll open up room changes. And because there's other movements and people have moved around, some people may have left, we always traditionally have lots of options at that time. So you can change in the spring semester if you wanted to. And I'm confident you'll be able to find a spot in any of our halls at that time.
Okay, next up, are there mold concerns currently in Summit? Or is it in the past?
We're very fortunate that anytime there's any type of concern in any residence hall, we will work with our environmental health and safety team. I mean, there are very few cases after they've assessed the space and done air quality assessments where they find any type of issue related to air quality. If there is mildew or any other type of buildup, they're going to work with our facilities management team to take that corrective action that I referenced before. But we're very fortunate that they're going to be on it right away. So if you have any concern at all, when in doubt, report it. We'll check it out. We'll make sure that everything's good to go. And if it's not, we'll make it good to go very quickly. There are also other things that happen no matter where you live, when the buildings are closed up, when we have days of consecutive days of high humidity, when students may cover certain airflow areas to vents to our HVAC units, or sometimes even tamper with some of the stuff that can impact quality. But if you're doing those responsible things in the room, We experience very few issues, and when we do have those issues, we're able to resolve them very quickly.
So Eric, is there a curfew for honors or any of the residence halls?
There probably should be, but no, there's no curfew. We want students to be responsible, know what their class schedule looks like and their academic obligations, even outside the classroom. But there's no specific curfew or check-in time for the residence halls.
So are the move-in dates and times chosen in alphabetical order, or how are those decided?
Well, one of the benefits of COVID is we created a new move-in process. So most likely move-in's going to start around Thursday before the contract starts. I believe that's August 10th off the top of my head through Saturday. So in June, we'll start notifying students. They'll have the ability to go log on to the portal again, same spot, and then select a move-in time slot. So for the day that they're looking for, and then the time, there'll be different time slots throughout the day. It is very well organized. It's still chaotic because it's moving, thousands of people coming in just a couple days, but we have it down to a science. So as long as you're doing everything that we ask you to do, and we ask you to do those things to make it easy on everybody. So because there's so many people coming in, but we'll get you as close to the building so you can drop off your items, get to the elevator where elevators are located, get into the room, have a place to put the vehicle for the next couple hours, and then the next group will come in and do the same thing. We're strict with those timelines only because we want to give everybody the best experience they can have with the move-in process. And then we want you to leave so they can get settled in. I know that's tough, but then we want you to come back later. But we have a lot of events and a lot of things going on for students during welcome week. So it's about being efficient during move-in, but it goes very well. And the short answer to your question is it's not assigned. You'll be able to go on and select your own move-in date and time.
And then you can all come back for Fall Family Weekend. Okay, do the en-suite buildings have community floors with large televisions, kitchens, and study areas?
It depends on the location. A lot of our floors do have various types of lounges depending on where you're at, study rooms, as well as large community areas, some of which have TVs. Some on the main floors, but it depends on the location.
However, there are no community kitchens, microwaves,
Oh, yes.
sinks, any of that kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay, please explain bringing a car and transportation to Summit on a late Sunday night. You want me to do this?
I like the car question. Is that if it's related to move in, but also to bring a car, I always suggest there's no prohibition against it. It can be expensive to find parking. Oftentimes it's in a lot that isn't next to the building. So that you'll use it to go home and do other things. But because we have such great transportation options at WVU, I always say wait at least a semester to feel it out. Because you're not going to be able to park in front of the building and then drive your car to class and then get out and walk into the classroom. You're probably also going to be able to find other people that are going to help you get around, including getting home. We have people all over the place, the Parents Club buses, and there's so many ways to get back home. So I would certainly have it. And there are options to pay for parking, both university options as well as public or private options. But I would feel it out. If you're just talking about dropping off items after move-in, yeah, after the move-in time or late at night's the best time to avoid. We'll probably turn away people trying to get close to the building during the move-in time to respect those other people that have made the appointments trying to get in for the first time.
Okay, so this is a hub question, but when do you get your final bill due for the semester and how does the payment plan work? Would you like me to?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so the bills will be sent out in the first week of July and they are due August 1st and they are due paid in full on August 1st. If you decide to sign up for a payment plan, those will be available this summer. You can sign up for the payment plan and go up to about 5-month payment plans. You'll be able to do that in June of this year. And that will all be in the Parents Club email. So if you have joined the Mountaineer Parents Club and you get our emails, you'll be getting that info. If you have not, we'll talk about that in a few minutes when we're done here about how to join. But that's how you're going to get most of that information, because the bills, while again, are due August 1st, you can sign up for that payment plan and get up to a 5-month plan now to spread those payments out. And then in spring, you'll be able to do that again and sign up for the spring payment plan. Okay, is Seneca the one with private rooms?
Yes, private bedrooms, and then a small common area with a kitchen.
Do any of the residence halls have ATMs, and which bank is on campus?
PNC is the bank on campus, and most residence halls would be close to an ATM machine, to include in towers, for example. There's one located in Brook Tower, but and then your downtown halls are close to the mountain layer where the ATMs are located as well. So no matter where you're at, you should be relatively close to an ATM.
All right, here's a goodie. Are overnight visitors allowed in the residence halls?
Yes, they are. They need to be registered, need to follow the policies associated with that. And then, as always, got to have roommate approval for somebody to come in, because these are small private spaces. So we want to respect that. There are limitations to the guest, but I would encourage you to go to our policies page and read the guest policy to learn more about the specifics related to guests and expectations for guests.
How much time will students have with students in their rooms if they're doing an early move-in with Adventure West Virginia?
Adventure's unique. So one thing I would say with any early move-in, make sure that you're communicating with that sponsoring group. So in this case, Adventure West Virginia, and they're going to give you the details associated with move-in. A lot of times we get calls on housing, and it really depends. We have some general information. We're making sure we know when people are coming, but there are other expectations because people coming early are coming for a very specific reason and have other obligations. The drop and go is fairly short for Adventure West Virginia by design for them, so you can get into the room, but you're not competing with anyone else. You're not competing for carts. You're not competing for the elevators or the stairwells. So it's a drop and go. And if you wanted to come back later, you can come back later. The only caveat to that is we would ask that you're not coming back during those published move-in times. So that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday during the day when other people are moving in, you're not going to be able to get parking close to the building. If you don't have an appointment, you're probably going to get turned away, mainly because we're trying to accommodate those other students moving in for the first time. But if you come in after hours or outside of those dates, you're going to be able to come back and do anything else that you want to do in the room. But you should still have time because you're not competing with everybody else. It doesn't take long to get in, get set up, and then you're going to get comfortable, but not everybody has it all set up within the first hour. You got to get a feel for it. You got to get a feel for your roommate, and you're probably going to change it multiple times. So that's a never-ending process of personalizing that space and mixing it up to make it your home away from home.
So what events go on the days after move-in, and is it mandatory that students stay all those days?
We do want students to stay for Welcome Week. And pretty soon at welcomeweek.wvu.edu, you're going to see all the events that are listed over the various days. Some are small activities, some are required, such as floor meetings with your resident assistant. But there are all kinds of events that are going to happen during all of Welcome Week. So, and all that's going to be published. And one of the first things that your resident assistant's going to do with you is go through that schedule and go through those expectations. We do want you here. Mom and dad, we want you to leave, not in a mean way, because we want the students to get settled in, but then we want you to come back later. But yeah, during that first week, going to be very busy, going to be acclimating to college for the first time, lots of events going on. So we want students to be here for those.
Absolutely. That is the time when they really start making friends. So it's important to have them here. So we have a couple of questions on this. Eric, talk a little bit about how long the move-in slots will be.
They're normally a couple hours, and that works very well. So, and we're pretty strict about that. We have like I said, we're gonna have police officers and staff members. You're gonna see the signs going in to move in. They're gonna get you as close to the building as possible in a spot. If we have volunteers, they're gonna help you as well. Drop your items, get it into a cart, get into the room, get set up. Then as soon as you drop your items, they're gonna push you into an adjacent lot holding area. And that's why we have to be very tight with time, because those lots fill up in a hurry. So you'll get a parking pass that'll have an end, have a date and an end time on it when you know that you need to move your vehicle. It may be possible for you to go to a city lot or somewhere else later if you want to walk back or take some other form of transportation. But excuse me, move-in times are about 2 hours.
Here's a good one. Should you move in at the exact same time as your roommate?
I wouldn't, but I could go either way on that. I mean, if you want, it helps if you stagger that a little bit because you're going in and out and carrying things. We also try to keep it just to a couple helpers at a time. Doesn't mean that you can't bring other people, but we're trying not to clog up the elevators and clog up the stairwells, clog up the hallways. So you may want that private time to get your stuff moved out where you're not competing with your roommate and their family, not in a bad way, just in a space way.
Okay. Does the bus line run late on Sundays from the law office or the law school, I think, to the Sunnyside area?
I'd have to look at that particular route on the Mountain Line website. It should go fairly late. I don't know if it goes to 3 a.m. like you referenced before.
Yeah, and it doesn't typically stop at the law school. So typically students who park at the law school have to figure that out, of how to get back and forth. The buses run, but not typically stopping at the law school on a regular route. Okay, can you lease university apartments as a freshman, and are the rates per semester or monthly?
Any first-time freshman or first-time transfer with less than 24 credit hours is required to live in the residence hall. So they wouldn't be eligible to sign a lease with a university apartment or an off-campus apartment. That's for many good reasons. All the support, staff, everything about the residence hall experience is designed to support the first-time student. So we want you to live in the residence halls. We know there may be some extenuating circumstances there for some students that are commuting or for other reasons. So there are ways within the portal to request an exemption from the first year live on requirement. But most of our first time freshmen are going to live on campus, meaning in a residence hall during that first year.
Okay, so are there blinds or curtains on the windows in Oakland?
Shades.
Okay,
Wait,
and that is on the website when you look
is.
at.
I'd have to cheat and look at a picture and look at the website. And some of that's changing in real time too, as we update those things, depending on where you're at.
Okay, Eric, here's one for you. What's the best thing to use to hang items on the walls?
That depends on the wall type. We want you to use an item, normally a command strip or something else. Sometimes putty works too. But even command strips, if not used the correct way, when you take them off drywall, for example, can tear the paint off the wall or damage it. And then you could be in Dadisman or Borman that has a plaster wall and it's completely different in terms of how that's set up. So, and in some cases you have a little hooks or that you can, and a little groove that you can utilize those hooks to hang items. But for other items, just make sure that whatever you're buying, we don't have a specific recommendation because it depends. Just be very careful that you're not damaging the walls. Definitely can't use tacks or anything like that, or nails, anything that goes into the wall directly. And then make sure that you're following those manufacturer guidelines, because it's a very specific process to do it in such a way that will not damage the walls.
If your student is doing an early move-in trip, would it be best to come back on Sunday to help them finish?
Yeah, but you want to cross-check against the welcome week schedule too. Say that, or come in after hours, after that last appointment during the day, when you're not competing with all the other vehicles and traffic. But also you still want to check the welcome week schedule because there could be things going on during that time too.
How often are the residence hall rooms with suites cleaned? And what's cleaned? Is it just the bathrooms?
It is just the bathrooms and the suite style, and that's about every 3 weeks, as opposed to about every day with the community style restrooms. So they will not clean the rooms, but they will clean the bathrooms. So they'll need access to those spaces and need to go in through the rooms. They normally publish that schedule and students know when they're coming in to clean the bathrooms. Also, you want to take care of your space and report any issues that need to be resolved so it doesn't become something that can make it difficult to be in that environment.
So if you do happen to damage the wall when you are hanging things on that, what's the cost to repair that at the end of the year?
It depends on the damage and what needs to be fixed and how many holes, and really it's a labor issue in terms, I mean, we're not out to nickel and dime people, but I mean, it could cost, I don't want to give a specific amounts, but in most cases, if it's a couple areas, they're going to be able to patch and repair that as opposed to having to paint the whole room. And those prices can vary.
So how do we know what types of walls are in each room? And is that on the website?
That's not on the website, but I think the older, more traditional halls are going to have that plaster style wall. And some of our newer buildings, such as Oakland, such as Honors and Lincoln, are going to have a different type of wall.
I always love this one. Are there vacuum cleaners and other items available for students?
We do have vacuum cleaners located at the main desk that students can check out, and some other resources as well.
Okay, is there a special hall for criminology?
There's not a specific living learning community for criminology, no. Forensics, but not criminology.
All right, the last question says, where's the business school? And that is located on the downtown campus. That's all we have.
And the living learning community for business school is located in Summit Hall on the 9th floor.
Okay. There is not a special residence hall for forensics. All right, well, folks, I think
Forensics has the living learning community on the 10th floor of Summit. If that was the question.
no, it was just a special door for forensics.
Oh, sorry.
Do students supply their own cleaning supplies?
For the most part, I mean, toilet paper, shower curtains, that's a question we get a lot too. All that's provided. They are going to go in and clean. And if you need something, our helpful facilities team can help you with it. But if you have personal preferences in terms of cleaning supplies, especially in those suite style bathrooms, then you could bring those supplies with you.
And last question, will the RAs do a room check with the student to note any existing damage?
So the damage they will do some informal walks with you, but they're going to wait until everybody is out of the space to assess the space. And if there was any damage, they would take pictures. They would notify you. There'd be a process to appeal it. We're not out to try to nickel and dime.
But when you're moving in, Eric.
Oh, when you're moving
So
in.
moving in.
Oh, sorry. Other side. Yes, you're going to receive a copy of a room condition report. So it's going to be inspected already for you. And then you're going to be able to view that, check the space, and then there's a link on that room condition report that you can submit anything that you believe is inaccurate on that. So,
All right. I said that was the last one, but we have one more.
sure.
What happens during the semester break? Are the rooms inspected?
They will go in during the winter recess to check spaces to make sure that they're secured, make sure there's nothing out that can spoil. They're not formal inspections. They're more closing inspections to make sure that there aren't surprises when you come back, because that is a long break. And we don't want milk sitting on a counter. The crazy things that we might see that could grow things that we would certainly be able to resolve, but you don't want to come back to.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Those were some great questions. If you have other questions or anything that you still need to know, please contact the Mountaineer Parents Club. Right up here, we have our website and our email address. We have 3 Facebook pages that we hope that you all are looking at, especially that official families of the WVU class of 2027. And please join the Mountaineer Parents Club. That's how you're going to get all of our good information. We send those emails twice a month. We have lots of other information and ways to communicate with families, and we make sure that you always know what's happening. But we can't do that if you haven't joined us. So please do that. And we have that 800 number that you can call, answered by our colleague, Katie. Happy to help at any point. So please get back to us if you have questions or you need anything. We're so glad that all of you joined us this evening, and we will have more webinars. So check that out on our website as well, because we will really keep going here with these. We have more coming up in March and April, and if we'll be adding a new one as well. So keep checking that out. And if you need anything, please let us know. Thanks. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.